Welcome to Chalk Talk, a weekly preview of West Tennessee football featuring the JSUN sports team on JacksonSun.com.
Hi everybody, welcome to Chalk Talk here at JacksonSun.com as we get ready for round 3 of the TSSAA High School Football Playoffs. Very exciting time of year. My name is Craig Thomas. I'm here along with the high school sports columnist and our primary football beat writer, Brandon Shields. Brandon, we've talked a lot about all the big games we've seen the last couple of weeks. Obviously some big upsets, some local teams getting some really significant wins in this past week. And
three teams come right to mind for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of games that got people's attention, but we'll kind of turn our attention to the week ahead. We've been doing a lot of stuff, kind of getting you guys ready for this week. You've been making the centerpiece story in the Jackson Sun a preview of each of these games we're about to talk about, and so if you haven't been getting the Jackson Sun, obviously you want to change that this week and get all the high school football coverage that's going to be on the way this week and until we get to Cookeville and the Blue Cross Bowl. We'll start with the local games this week, though, and we'll start with Class 1A right up here, a rematch of a game earlier this year in which Dresden really took it to the Peabody Golden Tide. I'm going to try again this time in Dresden. Peabody's going to try for a better showing, and they'll obviously need a better window to advance.
Yeah, you were there at that first game. That was, what, 39-0?
It was.
Yeah. When did they score that 39? Like, when did they get past the running clock point? Was it late in the game? Or?
You know, I can't remember when the running clock was, but what I remember more from that game is just that Dresden seemed to be in fairly complete control throughout. You never really felt like Peabody was going to rally so much.
Yeah.
Not that it was a traditional running clock game where it's just a bore, but, you know, and I think Dresden's always kind of interesting to watch, but yeah, they were really in control the whole time.
Yeah, and Derek Ranges even said, the Dresden head coach, it's not like we just came out and just totally had our way with Peabody that night. They just made mistakes and we didn't, and we capitalized on them. Obviously, Peabody can't do that this week. They got Kendrick Malone back at quarterback for this game. It was after that last game that he got moved back to quarterback. So, you know, that's going to kind of change things up offensively for Peabody, defensively for Dresden, and give more options once the ball gets snapped to his hands. So how much that changes things, does that make Peabody 39 points better? I don't know, but it's definitely going to be, it adds a layer of intrigue to this game, in addition to can Peabody kind of put aside all the or the off the field distractions that they had earlier this week coming out of that win at Union City.
Yeah, it's interesting too, them coming off that win at Union City before we even consider the distractions, how big of a win that was.
Oh, yeah.
Dresden, meanwhile, has played Middle College and Carver and dominated them both, so it'd be interesting to see if one team has an advantage in that respect.
Definitely.
We go to 2A, Trinity Christian Academy, maybe the comeback team of the year when you consider where they were 3 or 4 weeks into the season. They were in a pretty rough spot. But obviously, Andrew Goldsmith has been a revelation, just what he's been able to do at the quarterback position, really just all kinds of good stuff, and really using his teammates to kind of make them better, using them as best the Trinity can, and they've really, I think, maximized probably their ability. They've got to go to McKenzie, a team that's coming off a win over Jackson Christian. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, McKenzie is definitely playing better ball now than what they were, I'd say even the first time they played TCA when they won 44-24. And the best picture of that is the fact that they beat Jackson Christian by 33 points when they lost to them in week 8 by 17 points. So they're definitely playing better, but obviously TCA is playing better too. They knocked off their region champion this past week in the game that their defense played its best game of the whole season, keeping Aswell from really trying to gain any traction offensively, couldn't get into a rhythm. Even after Aswell started with a 69-yard run to set up a touchdown run on the second play from scrimmage. It's particularly that on both sides of the ball, there's going to be big matchups to watch in this one. Andrew Goldsmith and his ability to make plays against McKenzie's defense, TCA's defense, and how they played last week against that offense with Jack Serber and Eric Robinson, Noah McEwen, Donovan Foley, a lot of good guys on that McKenzie team. So I hate to say it's a toss-up, but it's a toss-up.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting, I think, too, is, you know, McKenzie's one of those small towns we talk about where the high school football team really means a lot there. And I mean, it's big news. There's a lot of people that are really closely following that. We have several towns, obviously, like that in West Tennessee. And I think those Rebel fans definitely eager for a long playoff run. And I mean, they win this week, and you can call it a long playoff run, I think, at that point.
Sure.
Class 3A, another town that loves its football, the Milan Bulldogs. Milan will be traveling down here to to Jackson to take on the undefeated Liberty Crusaders, who are seen by many people as a state title contender. Liberty won this game by 3 touchdowns last time. How do you see it going down this time?
I think that it'll be a low-scoring game, which, I mean, I guess technically 30-8 is that it's not that many points scored last time. I think it'll be closer this time. I think maybe in the story that we had in Wednesday's paper, I might have even came short just saying probably the winner of this game will be the first one to score 21 points just because both defenses are playing so well. And that's really going to be the key, which offensive team can play physical enough and take the punches in the mouth that they're going to take early on and keep playing for 4 quarters. And definitely whoever comes out of this game is going to be the one that can overcome that adversity and just constantly fight back against it and keep moving the ball until they get to the end zone.
Yeah, I get a sense, Brandon, and you might know this better than me, that Peabody Dresden's kind of looked at as sort of the marquee matchup of all these, just given sort of what's gone on the last few weeks since they played again. But I really think Milan Liberty, you can make a case for that one as well, just given the improvement Milan's made and how good Liberty's been.
Any of the previous 3 that we talked about, and I mean, just because North Point Christian, Memphis East, a lot of fans around here aren't interested in them, I guess you could make an argument for the 3 that we've already talked about. But yeah, all 3 of those are going to be really good.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Class 4A, Lexington coming off a big win right here in Jackson against Northside, where they took it to the Indians, showed that they definitely were the better team. Mm-hmm. They got to take on a very tough Memphis East team that really took it to Hardin County. How do you see the Tigers' chances here?
Well, talking with Brian Hollingsworth, Lexington's head coach earlier this week, he talked about Memphis East, and you know, he talked about the fact that they're obviously a good team. They're in the state quarterfinals. They are a fast team, but they're not as big as a lot of people around here seem to think. I thought that they were going to be like the biggest team they played, but actually Ridgeway and Haywood, he says, were probably bigger than both of those teams. And maybe they're about the same size as Haywood size-wise. Speed-wise, they're probably more about like a Hardin County, and you know, as fast as Cal Gobble is, they got more guys that are as fast as he is. But you know, they both are coming off big wins. They're both riding a big wave right now of momentum going into this game. I tend to think maybe Memphis East. There are a few places around here where the environment of the home could provide a home field advantage. I think Lexington is one of those places. Mm-hmm. And Memphis East, I doubt has played anything like that. So that could definitely kind of throw them off, at least maybe give Lexington a chance to get a big lead and maybe try to hold on to it.
You know, I hadn't thought about that until just now, but you're right. I think Lexington is just one of those kind of unique places. Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot just like that. You know, obviously Northside did make a handful of mistakes last week, but the Lexington running game I thought was pretty impressive.
Right.
Division 2A, USJ. We talked about upsets at the beginning of the at the beginning of the segment, and you know, obviously, you know, Peabody beating Union City and ending that streak with something of an upset. Mm-hmm. USJ going to Franklin Road Academy and beating a team that was 11-0 and looking pretty good doing it. That's, I think, definitely a major statement for the Bruins. What can they do, Brandon, to get another win at North Point Christian?
Well, just keep doing what they're doing. That's pretty much what they got to do. And when I say keep doing what they're doing, I mean what they've been doing in the playoffs. That's playing defense. That's doing well in special teams, and then the offense is doing enough. In the first game, it was they got the lead early on, and they kept it for 3.5 quarters. Last week, it was they built a big lead, and they just kind of held them off there at the end, and won by a score. So just kind of get the offense maybe a little bit more into a rhythm, maybe get them caught up with the defense, and this is going to be a team that's going to be really hard to beat. And keep in mind, this game is a semifinal game. Everything else is quarterfinal. So if USJ wins this, they get next week off, and then they play the state championship in Cookeville.
Yeah, what a reward that would be for sure. Big year for USJ here at the end. And then one college game we want to mention real quickly in the Ohio Valley Conference, UT Martin, coming off a tough loss against Eastern Illinois this past week at home. Just one of those where I think if you're a Skyhawk fan or certainly a Skyhawk staff member, you just sort of regret some of the things that went down. You know, missed field goal, safety that on a blocked punt that certainly wasn't necessary. You know, too many interceptions was the case the previous week when they were able to get a win.
Yeah.
Not this time, really. I mean, UT Martin, it's kind of a shame because they were good enough to win a game like that, but not good enough to make so many mistakes and win a game like that. And they've really kind of, sorry to use a cliche, but kind of put themselves behind the 8 ball. Obviously, got to win against SEMO coming up this week. They got to win that. They'll have, you know, Eastern Kentucky and Eastern Illinois playing each other. Got to have EKU win to get all those teams at 6-2 in the conference, and then you have to hope that, you know, when the committee looks at everybody and, you know, try to see who should go in this 2014 playoff, that the OVC deserves a second team, and that team is UT Martin.
Yep.
Obviously Jason Simpson's talked about, there ought to be 3 teams, and you can see from his perspective why he would say that. He's seen the OVC, he believes in his team, no doubt, but at the same time, when UT Martin hasn't been ranked all year, kind of hard for to really see that happening. I think that's kind of a red flag that they weren't ranked going into last week's game, and that ranking is kind of a good indication of how people see you. And unfortunately for the Skyhawks, the Ohio Valley Conference does not have the reputation that some of these other FCS leagues have.
Yeah.
And I think they really missed their best opportunity. But obviously, you try to go in and beat a SEMO team that's pretty good. That's a solid team in the OVC. A rusher that's going to be at 1,000 yards, maybe the best receiver in the conference, a good freshman quarterback, and a pretty capable defense that's held Murray State, who scores a ton of points, to just 10. So obviously not a given just to go up there and win. So, but they have to take care of that, and then just sort of hope for the best on Sunday.
Yep. Well, it's going to be a big weekend. So you can expect updates. Anybody who follows you on Twitter can expect updates from this game. What time does that kick off?
So that'll be it'll be an afternoon kickoff. I don't recall the time right this second, but that'll be an afternoon kickoff, and that's fine. Then obviously plenty of updates Friday night, as we'll have writers at all these all these games, kind of taking care of everything. We're talking to coaches and players and talking about what went right, what went wrong. We're going to have a few teams we know advance to the next round.
Yeah, these 3 we're going to have a local team in 1, 2, and 3A. We know next week.
So definitely a big week ahead. Then Saturday morning, check out all the stuff we've done, stories, photos, and that good stuff at Jackson Sun and JacksonSun.com. So for Brandon Shields, I'm Craig Thomas. Have a great week.
See you.